The standoff over how to reopen the government is now in its third week, and Speaker Mike Johnson is warning that things are going to get uglier if Democrats don't cave.
We're barreling toward one of the longest shutdowns in American history unless Democrats drop their partisan demands and pass a clean, no-strings-attached budget to reopen the government and pay our federal workers.
Now, caught in the middle of all of this are more than 1 million federal workers, either furloughed or working without pay. But Johnson maintains that there's just one side to blame.
I know the Democrats hate to cut spending in any way, in any form. But we are for that because we have to make government work better for people. If you look at the polling, the people's faith in the federal government is at an all-time low. Why? Because they don't see that it's being done well.
I'm not sure he remembers, but Republicans are in charge of all three branches of government, more or less. And certainly the House, the Senate, and the White House are all in their command. So who's really to blame?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reporting this over the last 2 weeks, and what I found is that this shutdown is different than all of the other shutdowns that all of us have seen.
It feels
for
that
two
way,
reasons.
certainly.
One is because it comes after several rounds of layoffs and rifts and DOGE. So the people inside the federal government have already been traumatized. They're already under siege. Hundreds of thousands have already been fired. And so now these actual institutions are kind of breaking down. And that's why we're going to see a lot of public services that people depend on really erode over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be really shocking. And the second thing is that both sides think they're winning. The Democrats think they're winning. The Republicans think they're winning. Trump thinks they're winning. Nobody has an incentive to back down. And that means we're going to be in this for a while. And the American people are happy to blame both sides. And I blame both sides, too. I think both sides are at fault. But the problem is that once the government is broken, it's a lot harder to fix it. And if you're trying to break it, well, then it's even harder to fix it. So I think
the other part of this is that historically these other shutdowns, there were several during Trump's first term, it was very clear that the American public blamed the party that was holding out for the concessions. But in this case, that's not really what's happening. I mean, I think if you could generously describe this as a somewhat evenly divided public, blaming Trump and Republicans both equally and Dems in Congress about the same, but really Trump and Republicans in Congress have slightly more of the blame here, which is not typically how this goes for the party that is trying to reopen the government without making a deal.
It is a stalemate. I think it's about which party has the most tolerance for political pain at the end of the day, because both are going to suffer in their districts across all of these states. But the fact is that the Democrats turned into a circus what should have been a simple housekeeping measure, which was extending the Biden levels of spending in a clean CR. And it was clean. It was very clean. But instead, they decided to die on the hill of making into perpetuity a COVID-era subsidy. Are we in COVID, guys? We're no longer it's not the pandemic anymore, right? So they wanted to extend that, and it wasn't even in the original Obamacare law, which raises the question, is the Democrats' purpose here, under Obamacare, it was supposedly under the pretense of affordable health care, right? But I think what Democrats really want is a boondoggle. They want a gravy train of Obamacare to just go on forever with no accountability whatsoever. A lot of premiums for patients haven't even gone down. So have they really even achieved the affordable health care that Obamacare promised? I'm not really so sure about that. And they could end this tomorrow by saying, we actually don't want our grab bag of goods. We don't want the laundry list. We're just going to get the CR over the finish line and open the government.
Increasingly, you're hearing Republicans saying we need to fix the health care
you said
part of this. Like they recognize it's a problem.
You said that Democrats are dying on this hill, but a lot of Republicans are climbing up the same hill right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been outspoken about it. Mike Johnson got confronted on C-SPAN the other day by a Republican. I don't know. I know I'm a lot younger than you, so I'm closer to like fifth grade government 101, but this takes compromise. If you have 53 Republicans and you can't get 7 Democrats to sign on, that means they're not compromising. There were 13 CRs passed under Biden because they let Republicans into the room and they said, listen, you guys can talk to us. We'll talk to you. We'll negotiate. In this case, Democrats are essentially being shut out, and Donald Trump is posting AI memes of Hakeem Jeffries with a sombrero. So if you want to talk about a circus,
it's a meme war.
It's reciprocal from the Democrats. Donald Trump is the president. He should have a say.
Let me just, real quick, Scott, let me play, this is Trump in 2019, back when he was president, okay? So he was in the White House, and he was the one trying to keep the government shut down until he got his border wall. And here's what he said.
We really have no choice but to build a powerful wall or steel barrier. If we don't get a fair deal from Congress, the government will either shut down on February 15th again, or I will use the powers afforded to me under the laws and the Constitution of the United States to address this emergency.
Wasn't the first time, wasn't the last time that it was Trump and Republicans who were saying, we won't open the government until we get what we want in terms of concessions. So the shoe has been on the other foot.
Yeah, and I don't know what relitigating a shutdown from 6 years ago does for us tonight. I do think this, both parties, I agree, I think they both think they're winning this in some way. And I interviewed Steve Scalise today on my radio show. He didn't sound like this. He thought it was going to come to an end anytime soon. Both of them have a pretty strong position. I assume at some point they will wind up negotiating this health care deal. I agree with a lot of what you said about, I mean, this is a COVID-era program that Democrats are trying to extend. And it does call into question the status of American health care and the insurance system right now. But at some point, you know, these things typically end in some kind of a negotiation. These subsidies don't expire till the end of the year. It's October. They have plenty of time to deal with it.
So why not just come to the table right now? I mean, by the time we get to a negotiation, we'll be in November. I mean, we're almost mid-October at this point.
But I think
I mean-
part of the problem is that the system is so corrupt that both parties, and as you know, I don't think highly of either one of these parties at all,
Same.
whatsoever. But what happens is, first you had a government shutdown before there was a government shutdown, which was the firing of all of those workers, disproportionately black sisters, black women, 200,000 who lost their jobs were fired. Then you've got a moral meltdown and a spiritual breakdown in the country, which has to do with massive distrust, not just with politicians, but with citizens. It's hard to have conversations with each other. So what happens in such a context?